Again, hopefully this will come on. Hello.
Hi, we made it.
I was thinking, what's happened there? Oh wow, it's so great to meet you. It's so great to see you.
And to you as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on, your accreditation. It must have been a lot of work put in. But yeah, I can feel your joy. I can feel your joy through, the screens when you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So what I usually do, I introduce my guest and I just hand over to you to talk. And if I have any questions, I will ask during our conversation. So everyone, welcome to Self Love Academy. This is KG Moses here. So today my guest is Ksavi Joshi,
Joshi.
right? Yoshi. And she's an influencer and a SANS ambassador. And she's also a trained makeup artist and an accredited Jay Shetty certified life coach. She found comfort and motivation and gratitude in celebrating both our inner and outer beauty following the devastating loss of her second son, Shivai. Did I say that correctly?
All good.
Yes. And she used the coping mechanism learned on her own personal journey through grief to find happiness and to talk openly about overcoming adversity to help others. So her purpose centers around kindness, and she set up growing online community Lipstick Power to help women support other women through life experiences, trauma and loss. So this is just a snippet of what she does. Just a snippet of it, a little bit. And I was watching a video of yours on YouTube a couple of days ago, and where you talked about the inner beauty. And I think that was tape a couple of years ago. That's what it says. And it really touched me actually, because you were very open and honest about your journey. And I've titled our conversation Trusting the Process, because, for you to be where you are today, you had to go through various experiences and challenges in life. And I wanted to talk about your journey, from A to where you are right now. Over to you. Just introduce yourself and let them know a bit more about you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, KG, just for inviting me to join this session. I hope you can hear me okay. Good. So the technology works. That's always a start. So yeah, if I go back a step before 6 years ago, I was just a regular mum who was in a corporate career, wanting to extend and build her family. And I thought that was going to be my life, having a second child and retiring in that corporate career. So it really sort of challenged me when I couldn't get pregnant with my second son or my second child, because I wasn't aware of there being any complications, and that really sort of like triggered a movement where, I started to question my own body, my own ability, who I was as a woman.
Yes.
And that was probably the first time self-sabotage talk started to happen in me, where I started to sort of think very negative things about myself, about my body. And I guess that part of my journey resulted in going through 3 miscarriages, trying to conceive with our second child. And it was a really difficult and traumatic, emotionally draining time for me. And I think I got to the stage where I was like, I can't go through this anymore. We had decided that IVF was not for me or for us. So we had decided that, maybe we were just destined to just have the one child. And then I was deeply, deeply sad. Internally, I was sad. If you were very close to me, you could see I was really sad. To people on the outside, I looked like I had everything in life. But I just really had that deep inner sadness about me, and I couldn't really function. And my whole life was consumed by being able to give my eldest son a sibling. And, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself because of it. Even though I wasn't getting pressure from my husband or my child or anybody around me, a lot of it was me who was doing that to myself. And then my husband suggested that I take a hobby, and I started dabbling into various different things. And he said, I think maybe you should go do something different, like totally different, and see what happens. And I started experimenting in makeup. And that's how my journey as a makeup artist began. And so this is almost 10 years ago. And my journey as a makeup artist began, and all of a sudden I started to see this new personality in me that had never really existed, or had existed all the time, but I had squashed it down so much. And I guess that's probably the first point of when I started to trust the process.
Right.
My trust the process in my ability in being a makeup artist. And I started to first of all start doing weddings and brides and that sort of makeup, and then quickly I transferred into sort of fashion makeup, which is where I think my artistry really sits, and the type of makeup that I do. And the journey was incredible. Like, I got to work with some of the biggest names and assist them, and go to Paris Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, do London Fashion Week. I flew out to India several times to do some big socialites there, worked with so many celebrities. And in that time, I fell pregnant with my second son, Shivai. So, and I always feel like when I trusted the process and gave myself wholeheartedly to makeup, that's when Shivai was conceived and he came along. And he was early, he was born prematurely, and he had a lot of complications. But because makeup had been such like a healing to me, a healing power to me during that time, even though to other people it looked like it was my career and it was something that they paid me for my services for me, it always come to me as a form of therapy. And then when Shivai died at 8 months old, it was the makeup that helped to sort of rebuild my life and became my best friend, really. Because I was empty, I was lonely, because all of a sudden there wasn't a baby at home, and my husband was back to work, my son was back to school, and I was at home by myself. I was on the verge of depression, and that was when I distinctly remember this, sitting in the lounge surrounded by four walls, and up popped a video on Facebook of Purpose, and it was from Jay Shetty, and I watched it, and I got very intrigued about what he was saying about purpose. And so I started dabbling into that and looking around and like looking at every single content piece that he was putting out there. And this is pre him doing his YouTube channel. This is pre him doing, I think just about that time he was working for Huffington Post, Ariana Huffington, and I stalked every single video that I could see on it around purpose. And then from there, I just started to just sort of follow that journey. And then I one day just thought to myself, because I had been offered counseling, I'd been offered therapy, I had been offered sleeping tablets and antidepressants to help me cope with things. And I had also found out I was expecting my third son after the funeral. So I thought to myself, this is not something that is for me. There's got to be an alternative to this. Like, there has to be. Because I was absolutely petrified of going down the road of depression and getting further depressed, because I didn't want that to happen. Like, my motivation was that my son had already lost his sibling. I didn't want him to feel like he'd lost his mother as well in that journey. And so I started to dabble into sort of like looking around at what alternatives were available to me. And then I privately messaged Jay and I said, do you do coaching? I heard about this term called coaching. I wasn't really quite sure what coaching was, but I just knew that it could help me. And so I messaged, and at that time, you know, he wasn't that big then. So he came back and replied back and said, I'm not doing it at the moment, but I am building something and I'll let you know as soon as it's launched. And then a few years later, Genius, the community, launched, and I signed up on the very first day in full for the whole year, and not knowing what that was going to give me or bring for me. I just signed up knowing that I was going to be coached by him. And I was like, if his content is making this much of an impact on me, then I'm just going to trust the process in terms of what he's going to share in the private community area. And Genius changed my life. Like, being coached really, really changed my life. And, you know, like, that was 3.5 years ago. And then in that time, my career has flourished and grown in makeup. I have a corporate career, which is a part-time career for me. I have a corporate career where I'm excelling as well. We had baby Kai. That helped me to get through that whole process of having Kai. And, you know, I got to last year and I just thought, you know what? Coaching has given me so much. I want to give it back now. And that's when I took the decision in terms of becoming a coach. But Kija, even when I'd signed up for it, I didn't know what it was going to entail. I just knew it was going to challenge me a lot. It was going to open up like Pandora's box in a bigger way for me. And I was going to have to work through a lot of things like internal blocks or my own self-limiting beliefs and stuff that I was going to have to sort of like just work through to get me to the stage where, you know, now I'm accredited. So that's kind of been my journey in a nutshell.
Wow. And I think listening to you, I wanted to ask you, in the process of opening up and a lot of things coming up for you, how were you able to kind of navigate through those emotions? You know, because some people get overwhelmed by these things, isn't it? And then it is either they go one way, which is the extreme, or they find a way around, you know, to overcome it. Well, how were you able to? The coaching helped, but something else must have given you that push to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm committed to this. It's hard, but I'm going to overcome this. What was it?
I think there were several things. Firstly, aligning myself around an incredible network of people. So, you know, when you go through a trauma like this, you realize who is there for you, and you know, who maybe has come in like a season and passed through, and that's all good. That's all good. So I think, you know, telling people that I was doing this step, you know, I was taking this coaching on, I was going to train as a coach. You know, I had people around me that were rallying for me and supporting me, and my audience on Instagram here has championed me from day one. They've known my whole journey ever since, you know, the miscarriages, Shivai. They've known everything. So being publicly open about that really helped me, and I had people who were my cheerleaders in the background. Secondly, you know, I tapped into, I'm a born Hindu. I tapped into kind of, when I started to sort of like look into purpose and all that sort of stuff, I tapped into kind of Vedic knowledge as well. And I wouldn't say that I'm overly religious, but I love my culture. I love the traditions from it. And I started to sort of like embrace things about my culture, like meditation, like kind of like a mindful way of living, like, you know, gratitude journaling and stuff, like prayers and listening to prayers that made me feel good. And there were some prayers that used to make me feel very sad, so I didn't listen to them. But I started to do the things, surround myself by activities and people that really helped to elevate me. And those things that didn't elevate me, I stopped. And I didn't abruptly stop it. I just knew that I was already on this journey and I was moving ahead, and something was changing in me. And
Yeah.
maybe those other things came into my life because they were challenges and they taught me something. But that was the end of that challenge, and that was the end of that journey with either that person or with that situation or that activity. And it no longer aligned to who I was becoming.
Yeah. To who you were becoming. That is so important. And I wanted to ask you also, because you're actively involved in the works that you do with Sand, and Sand is quite a big charity. And I wanted to find out, for me, someone said to me, when you lose a child, there's this tendency that you want to keep that memory alive. So you must set up something or do something to say, to remember that your loved ones. And they said, sometimes it could be overwhelming, exhausting, and you might not realize it initially, and then later on you're thinking, actually don't want to really do this anymore. But then, for me, starting a charity because of my experience of pregnancy loss, it wasn't so. It was born out of, I want to be able to see other people go through this, come through this experience, and have the support that they need. So, in being actively involved in Sand, what was the reason that you made that decision and continue to make that decision on a daily basis?
Yeah. You know what was, I noticed very early on when we lost Shivai that I needed support. I needed support in a big way. And it wasn't coming through counseling, it wasn't coming through therapy, because I was already doing it. And I felt like that was just very temporary. Like when I was in that session, I was getting what I needed. But when I came out the session, I didn't know how to move ahead. I didn't know how to move ahead, knowing that I'd lost Shivai. That was difficult for me. And I was already, in that situation where the day after the funeral, I found out I was expecting Kai. So I knew that I had to do something that kept my body healthy and sane, because I had this, pressure that I had to deliver a healthy baby that was already inside me.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I needed help in that. So I turned to SANS as a bereaved parent, and I experienced their services as a bereaved parent. So I knew how much they had helped me in that process and in that journey. And, they've been doing a lot of work recently, again, in the COVID. They've heightened up everything that they've been doing during the COVID, in supporting mothers who are going through pregnancy during a pandemic.
Yes.
So I knew how much work and support they had given me in that time, and the impact it had had to me as well. Yeah. And then secondly, for me, my focus after Kai was born was raising Kai and making sure that Avi was okay. And still honoring Shivai's memory, which we do as a family. But I wasn't ready at that time, initially, to go and set up something in Shivai's name. And I thought, if I do this, I have to be committed to it for life. Because I need to do that for life, right? And I wasn't ready at that stage. So I didn't entertain it at all. I felt like I just focused on myself in trying to heal in some shape or form, but still honor that, we had, and acknowledge that we had a loss, that we had lost Shivai, but that we remember him, and he's very much an integral part of our family. And I remember doing a video on lessons, which is on YouTube, on my YouTube page, lessons that I've learned from loss. And I put that out, and I had no expectation. I just shared it to my Instagram, and I tagged in, and it was during, I think it was Baby Loss Awareness Week. It was during Baby Loss Awareness Week, and I tagged in a few of the charities, and I ended up going to see several of them, and SANS was one of them. And we ended up having a conversation, and there was never this preconceived kind of thing that I'm going to become an ambassador for SANS, or I'm going to become a board of trustee member for SANS, or this is where my life is going to go down this route. You know, literally, Keja, I've been trusting this process from day one. And that's kind of, I did that video, I put it out there, had no expectations whatsoever. And the next thing I knew was SANS and I were talking about becoming an ambassador for them. And that sat well with me because one, they were connected as a charity to me. Two, it meant that I could still focus on my own family, but still support them as well without having to run a charity as well. And, you know, being a part of SANS still allows me to talk about and be Shivai's mum.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm only known for being Avi and Kai's mum.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm Avi, Shivai and Kai's mum. And so the work that I do with SANS and you know, talking to you here today, you know, it allows me to still have that presence of being his mother, even though I believe that he's moved on to a bigger spiritual journey. And he's probably part of another family now. You know, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe in that's, you know, his journey. But he still left a lifetime of memories, even though there were 8 months that I had with him. He left a lifetime of memories and lessons to me for the rest of my life.
Yes, yes. Wow, that is so important what you said. That even through our conversations and other conversations you had and your involvement with Sand, that his memory is kept on and his legacy is on, and it will continue to go on. And everybody else that will listen to our conversation, you know, now and in the future will continue to, you know, hear that. And, you know, I think even watching you and connecting with you on Instagram, I actually went on the page that you have for him, and that's how I was able to kind of understand. And I did when I first initially connected with you, I just thought, okay, yeah, she's working with Sand. When I went on that page, I had to go on that page more than once, and I was just going through the pictures and just looking at the memory, and, you know, understanding the great work that you're doing, because it is a great work, because people lives are being changed. But I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you want to serve people with your coaching now that you're accredited. Maybe you're doing it before, I don't know, but how do you want to serve them? Because someone will be listening to you and thinking, you know what, I connect with her. I really want to have a one-to-one with her. I want her to, you know, help me with what I'm going through, challenges I'm going through, and I just want him to be able to see what you're bringing here.
So, you know, it's really interesting because when I was thinking about the people that I want to serve, I've been, you know, thinking about the people that have already been coming to me, asking me for support and some help. And, you know, what's really interesting is a lot of those individuals have been people who have connected to me, you know, in my journey. And my journey resonates to where they are in life or where they want to be in life. And a lot of it is, you know, predominantly the over 30s mark, men and women, who have either got to a stage where they're in their careers and their careers no longer give them purpose, or it's just a paycheck. It's literally just a paycheck. It doesn't add value or meaning to their life. They don't feel like they're contributing anything in life. And so they want to transform their careers to make it much more meaningful. So people like that have come to me, and those are the kind of people that I'd like to coach, because I've gone from being a corporate marketeer and transforming into a makeup artist and transforming into becoming a coach and transforming into becoming an influencer. So I know what that feels like, as well as still having a family to look after and organize and, you know, and pay the bills as well. So that's one element. The second element is, you know, in this journey of sort of, you know, going through loss and trauma and life-changing moments, you know, my confidence and my worth and my love for myself literally crashed down. It literally crashed down. I had no confidence in myself. I had no love for myself. I didn't think of myself as worthy at all. And the makeup, going through the makeup and rebuilding my confidence using makeup as a form of therapy, and, you know, working through all those challenges that coaching brought up for me, being coached brought up for me, have really helped me to find love again within. So I was always seeking for the love out, but actually the love was always in. So I just had to discover it and find it myself. And I found the love myself. I've grown to sort of love life as well. Even though Shivai's not here, it feels like a bit of a bittersweet because he's not here, but yet I love my life even more now than I did probably 10 years ago. You know, and that's because I think seeing the purpose in my life, seeing the gratitude for everything that I still have in my life, you know, honoring his memory and making that a focal part of my life. You know, it's very important to me and my husband to make sure that our boys know they had another brother and who that brother was and what he used to like doing. And, you know, today we're probably going to go to his memorial garden because I've been wanting to go there all week this week. So I want to do that. And they go there and they play and they pretend they're playing with Shivai. You know, so finding love and life after loss is important for me and has been my journey. And I hope that I can, you know, coach people that want to still honor the person that they've lost in their life or the trauma that's happened in their life, but move beyond that to be in the present form or present day, but also to build a life as well and not be stuck in the past. And I think that connects to me and my story because I was stuck in the past. And coaching helped me to move forward and take baby steps towards that. So all of that, and then obviously, you know, as part of that, bereaved parents as well. You know, with the work that I do with SANS and the work that, you know, being a bereaved parent and having to work through those daily challenges of sometimes you just don't want to get out of bed and you just don't want to do daily chores because it just feels like too much effort. You know, supporting those individuals, you know, through my coaching, just like Sans supported me, or I've had other coaches that have supported me. And, you know, here's the thing, I'm still a student of life. Like, I'm never going to stop learning, but that doesn't mean that I'm not ready to take on this next stage of being a coach as well. And I think that's been the biggest change in my mindset that I've had in the last year. And training as a coach, you know, I've had clients that I have coached and I have seen the impact that I can make in their lives. And, you know, when they send me like feedback or wins that they've had or testimonials and stuff that they've been able to do or like share with me based on the coaching that I've given them, it reinforces and makes sure that hi Kai, you can go outside. Sorry, I'm having there you go. There you go, that's real-time daytime telly. It's you know, really, it's really been able to sort of like just put that all into practice, and it redefines why I trusted this process in the first place. Like my instinct about training as a coach, it reconfirms that yes, that was the right step and that was the right move. And I'm a big believer of angels, right? I'm a big believer of that. I keep seeing all these angel numbers that have been coming around this whole week, and they're all to do with like positivity in the next chapter of your life, and you've taken the right step and just trust the process and stuff. So yeah, spiritually, I kind of believe all that as well.
Wow. And and I think what this when you were talking, one of the things that did stick, that I relate to a lot of things you're saying, but one of the things that really popped out to me is understanding that you're still a student of life.
Yeah,
And you will continue to be a student of life, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take that step
exactly.
and do what you need to do,
Yeah,
not second guessing, who you are, second guessing the greatness that's within you. Wow. Thank you for
yeah.
that. Thank you for that.
I think
And I want to, yeah, go on.
no,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say on that point is that, I'm often driven by the question that when I get to the gates of heaven and they
Mm,
open and Shivi comes to meet me first,
mm,
and he'll ask me the question, Mum, what did you do with your life? Like, I need to have a solid answer there. Like, because, I don't want him to turn around and say, Mum, I only had 8 months in my life and I did this. And you had a whole eternity. And what did you do? So I am very much driven by that question. And, that makes me, I always see my children as my motive, as different things. I see Avi, who's my eldest, as my motivation to be a better human being for myself, for him, to help inspire him. I see Shivi as my greatest teacher and love of my life. And I see
mm,
Kai as, the one that helped me to sort of bring the fun back into life again when
yeah,
I thought fun couldn't be a part of my life.
yeah,
So I feel each one of my children motivates me in different ways. And yeah, I'm trying to raise mindful children, but I'm also trying to raise them in a way that is authentic to them, where they also sort of feel like they can be themselves as well and still have fun and still be in their childhood rather than trying to become too much of an adult quickly.
yes,
So I want them to have everything that I had and more,
yes,
and also unlearn everything that didn't serve me
yeah,
and learn the things that now serve me
yes.
at a younger age rather than when you're an adult in your 40s.
Isn't that humbling? Isn't it's humbling I think when I understood that they're here to teach me a lesson. Actually, they're here to help me grow. I looked at it totally different, and also listening to Dr. Shivali.
Shafali,
But
yeah.
yeah, conscious parenting, that
Yeah.
was something that really
Mm,
shifted my perception of parenting.
mm,
Um, and the times when they would say things, and I'm like, where did this wisdom come from?
mm.
You know? And so, yeah, I can totally, that totally resonated with me. And I wanted to talk about your work with, well, what that you're probably potentially going to start with the South Asian parents community. And yes, and why did you want it to focus on that community?
It's obviously it's a community that I come from.
Yes.
It's a community where, when Shivai died and I had the miscarriages before that, I realized how many gaps there were around the conversation to do with baby loss awareness, um, the lack of support that was available, the lack of knowledge as well, in terms of how you support other people who support bereaved parents. Like, what do you say to a bereaved parent? People didn't know what to say.
Mm,
The kind of working in that community is it connects to me, and it helps me to give something back to that audience and that community. um, I often see people in that community who are newly bereaved parents, now, and I still see things that haven't moved or changed since I was a bereaved parent. And I can sit back and just ignore it, or I can do something about it. So I think it's really important for me to kind of tap into that network. And also,
mm,
Kija, looking now, being with SANS as a trustee, I see all the stats and the details and all that sort of stuff that's coming through, and the
mm,
reports that come out from the National Statistics Office and stuff. And we see in there hardcore evidence that baby loss rates are the highest amongst South Asian and Black communities. And there has to be something that's done about that. That is a fact. That is a fact. So if that's the fact, then why wouldn't I support those communities? Because more has to be done in them. And I know there are cultural differences, and I know there are differences around, how open people will be about their loss. Some people probably are not that open about their loss in those communities. So I definitely feel that baby loss in general across all societies it's a taboo subject. But I feel it even more within the Black and South Asian communities. It's even more, the rates are higher, so that makes me question, do people get access to our services, or do they know about them? So that's why it's so important to kind of, work within that community to do more stuff.
It's so crucial.
So crucial.
It's so important. So important. I spoke, somebody invited me to speak within the community, and we had a community of women. I'm Nigerian, and I can definitely tell you that it's something that is so important. It's something that is not talked about. It's something that is swept under the carpet rather. And people don't want to have that kind of conversation. And so, it's so, so important what you're doing. And I hope eventually that I can do something similar within the Nigerian community, and really bring a lot of these issues to light, and allow women to have access to those support that they desperately need. Yes, I commend your work. And if there's anything that I can do to support what you're doing, let me know.
I will definitely be asking you to support in that. Thank you.
Okay. And so we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I just usually ask every one of my speaker, what do you want to be remembered for? What is your legacy?
My legacy, spreading love, spreading joy, still being known as a mum to 3, Shivai, Kai and Avi, leaving people in a better place and in a better shape to when I first started with them, and just impact them through that kind of creativity, that love and that authenticity. That's how I'd like to leave them through all the things that I do with them, whether that's teaching them how to do makeup, or build their self-confidence again, or find their self-love again, or whether that's through coaching that I do, or whether that's through kind of bereavement work that I do or support them in. So yeah, I want people to look back and just think, you know what, she really made her life count, and she impacted a lot of people, she helped a lot of people, and she knew how to love life. And then if they can take that away and do that in their own lives, then, particularly loving their life, creating a life for them that they love, that would be important for me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. I honor you.
Thank you, Keisha, for inviting me.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm going to put all your details when I post this, and I usually post it on different platforms. So you might be seeing me tagging you on Twitter and everything else. But I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Keisha.
God bless. Okay.
God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, then. Bye-bye. Bye.